retribution because of her father's politics. Now, that's fine, and I think Donald Trump has every right to defend her, and I love Kellyanne Conway, but it wasn't the defense of her that got her in trouble. It was her standing in the White House press room saying, "Hey guys," and it was a morning show. She was joking around, and she said, "Hey everybody, go out and buy Ivanka stuff. I'm going to do it later today." It was lighthearted, wasn't really super serious, but it got her in trouble. And if we're being fair and if we're being consistent, if Hillary Clinton had won and one of her cronies was standing in the White House press room and said, "Hey, donate to the Chelsea Clinton Foundation, she's been getting unfair criticism," we would have issue with that too. But it's not a big deal. Kellyanne Conway, she was joking around. It's gotten blown way out of proportion. And we saw that many in the media were basically saying that she needed to face consequences for that. That's ridiculous. Come on. No harm, no foul. It's okay. But what's concerning now is that it's gotten blown out of proportion even in Republican circles. And so we saw, Spicer say that she had been counseled on this, which apparently Trump thought was too stern, and apparently Spicer got in trouble for using that word. So as far as I've heard through my own sources and through the media, it seems that Trump is justifiably standing 100% behind Kellyanne Conway. But we had Jason Chaffetz of Utah last night face a lot of criticism at one of these town halls. And one of the lines of criticism was that he should take action on Kellyanne Conway. Okay. But don't get distracted by those, because what those protests are at town halls that Republicans in Utah or wherever else are facing is that this is about Democrats are really organizing to make it seem as though opposition to the Trump administration and the Trump agenda are bigger than they actually are. Now, that's what it is. When you don't have the groundswell of support that you used to, you fake it until you make it. And that's what Democrats are doing. They're flooding town halls with lots of vocal, screaming people, and it's meant to intimidate a Republican member of Congress. It's meant to intimidate Republican senators when it applies to them as well. And these people are screaming. Some of them are violent. They have signs. They're carrying on. And so this is nothing more than political gamesmanship. And so don't read into it too much. I hope that Republicans on the Hill don't listen to it. I hope that Democrats that are willing to work with the Trump administration, somebody like Senator Manchin from West Virginia, doesn't listen to that when he goes back to West Virginia. I hope that they take it with a grain of salt. A few vocal people at a town hall does not accurately represent an entire district or state. And I think Chaffetz understands that, though I think that if you watch the video, the guy got really intimidated. He's standing on stage. I don't think he's got a backbone, frankly. I don't mean to disparage him, but he was getting yelled at, and he backed down. He said, "Yeah, you're right. We need to investigate Kellyanne Conway." Give me a break, guys. Come on. He understood she made a mistake. He was before a screaming crowd, and then he capitulated to them. The guy's got no backbone. We saw that during the Republican primary when he backstabbed then candidate Trump, now President Trump. We saw this with people like Paul Ryan. I don't know how you guys feel about Paul Ryan. I don't know how you feel about Mitch McConnell, but as a Trump supporter, I'm telling you with 100% confidence that people like Chaffetz, people like McConnell, people like Paul Ryan will stab Donald Trump in the back so fast it won't even be funny. It won't even be funny. They don't care about him. They don't care about the agenda that led to Donald Trump's election. They're the antithesis of the Trump movement. They are crony political. They're part of this dysfunctional Washington, and they have been for a long time. And they should go. They should be thrown out, in my opinion. I think we should have term limits for both parties. And if you're not going to work on behalf of the American people, you're gone. You're gone. And we've already seen it. Donald Trump wanted to move aggressively on tax reform. He's still saying he wants to move aggressively on tax reform. We'll get to that later. He wanted to move aggressively on the wall. They want to delay that. They have put up roadblocks to him that you would expect from Democrats. Now, are they helping him confirm, his nominee to the Supreme Court, his cabinet? Sure, but that's like the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum. Paul Ryan's out there saying that he wants to delay any action on Obamacare up to a year. What have you guys been waiting on? The Republicans in Congress repealed Obamacare dozens of times over the last 6 years. Dozens of times. And now the Trump coalition has been in control of both houses and the White House for 3 weeks. Donald Trump's very motivated to fix this, and they haven't put a bill in front of him. They haven't put a bill on his desk. What are you waiting for? Now, you've had all this time to think about this. You've had all this time to come up with a concrete plan. You told us you had a concrete plan. Donald Trump's articulated a plan that he can move on quickly. Give it to him. What are you waiting on? So, I don't trust any of these guys. I really don't. I don't think Trump does. At least I hope he doesn't. We've seen that they've been willing to stab him in the back multiple times. They will do it to him again if they feel like they need to. They have turned their back on Kellyanne Conway. They will continue to do so. They have no loyalty. Look, and I'm willing to criticize people too. Trump's not going to get it right 100% of the time. I'm willing to criticize him. I'm not going to stab him in the back. Kellyanne Conway, I felt like she made a mistake yesterday, an honest mistake, and I called her out on it. But I wasn't a jerk about it. I didn't run her through the mud to score political points. Give me a break. People make mistakes. We call them out on it. It's not a big deal. We move on. That's not how things work in Washington. It's a problem on both sides of the aisle, Democrat and Republican. And, I don't think that there's just some magic pixie dust we can toss on these Republicans that have been part of the establishment forever, that tried to keep Donald Trump out, and just think that they're just going to have some epiphany, and then all of a sudden they're going to fall in line. It's not going to happen, because he threatens the very establishment that has put them in power for so long, that has lined their pockets, that has lined the pockets of their contributors. So, it's not just the Democrats that are putting up roadblocks. I mean, it's part of the reason that I can't caucus with the Democrats anymore. I can't caucus with the Republicans, because we haven't solidified the rise of this new Trump party. I think we have this struggle for what it is unfolding right now, and we'll see. But and then speaking of, let's get into that tax reform though. Because Trump actually said yesterday he was meeting with some airline executives, and this was classic Trump. It was so good to hear. He said that we're going to have phenomenal tax cuts for companies in the United States, small businesses and individuals. We're going to move quickly on tax cuts for businesses so that they can start to invest in the United States. They can bring back profits that are stuck overseas in 3 to 4 weeks. He vowed, Donald Trump made a classic promise, and I have no reason to doubt him, because every time he makes a promise like this, he follows through. And he said, in 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to have this tax plan in place. And this came on the heels of just a week ago, as I said, Paul Ryan saying that it could be until the end of the year, going into 2018, before we had a tax plan. So Donald Trump's shown that he's not going to be at the mercy of Paul Ryan and Republicans in the House. He's not going to be at the mercy of Democrats that are trying to strong-arm him, that are trying to slander him. He's going to bulldoze these people if he has to. He's willing to be cordial. He's willing to work with people. But if you don't fall in line, there are going to be consequences. And I think that he has the mandate. I mean, you and I, we voted for him to achieve some of these things, to roll back Obamacare before it explodes in our face, before our premiums go through the roof even more. We voted for him so that he could tackle, the immigration problems that we face, which are both a national security problem and an economic problem. We voted for him so he could build the wall. We voted for him so that he would put travel restrictions on terrorist hotbeds. And so we see with this tax cut thing, he's strong arming Congress. He said, no, we're going to get it done. We're going to get it done. And you know what? I don't want to hear from any Republicans that the expectations are too high. I don't accept that. This guy, Trump, led you to your first victory in the White House in 8 years. He did it by basically blowing up the Republican Party establishment. So when I've got a story here about some conservative insiders, including Congressman Daniel Webster, saying that the enormity of these items are just not realistic. We just cannot do everything that Donald Trump's planned. I don't accept that, and I don't think Trump does either. So, well, anyway, speaking of the terrorist hotbeds, one thing that I think is glossed over is that one of the 7 countries that has a temporary travel restriction under Trump's executive order was Iran. And now that travel restrictions are in place, people can come freely from Iran. They can come freely from other terrorist hotbeds. And that's concerning, especially since we had protests yesterday in Iran and into today where they're screaming death to America in the streets. You had the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khomeini, basically egging on Trump. He said that he warned Trump. He said that he pledged missile retaliation to confront the United States warning. He said that there will be dark days ahead for Donald Trump. I mean, these are threats. These are threats to an American president. So I think this guy wants conflict. It's asymmetrical. We would blow them. You look at Iraq. I'm certainly not advocating war, but I'm just saying that the strength of the American military is totally unparalleled. We took Baghdad in a few weeks. I mean, if this guy thinks that he's something tough, he's barking up the wrong tree. I'm not beating the war drum. I don't want any conflict. I don't want any war. I'm just saying, this guy's delusional. This guy's delusional if he thinks that he can threaten the United States of America. Where we struggled in Iraq wasn't with taking the country; it was with occupying it. So this guy's crazy. This all came on the anniversary of Iran's 1979 Islamic Revolution. These guys are fanatics. They're fanatics. And he said, America cannot do a damn thing. We are ready to sacrifice our lives for our leader. That was a young Iranian man. So this is the kind of propaganda they're throwing on TV. It is a stark contrast, though, to the Obama administration because they were literally laughing at him. They were literally laughing at Obama because they out-negotiated him time and time again. You look at the Iran deal, man. Part of the reason that Iran feels so emboldened, even under President Trump, is because they think that we're just going to be pushovers, like we have been for the last 8 years. Where we're going to, we're going to sign a piece of paper where they make some promise that we are totally incapable of ensuring that they uphold their end of the bargain, and in turn we're going to give them hundreds of billions of dollars. We're going to release hundreds of billions of dollars of funds, including funds in the form of ransom payments. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that they think that they're going to just screw us over again. But I think a new sheriff's in town. I like that Donald Trump's playing hardball with them. I like that he put naval ships off the coast of Yemen to secure, both national security interests and economic interests, so that shipping vessels could get through there uninhibited by our Iranian allies. Iran's trying to project their strength across the entire Middle East. They see a power vacuum, and in part created by Barack Obama since we left Iraq. And so, they fund elements of ISIS. They fund, their allegiance is not to Middle East stability. It's not to the stability of the wider world. I think these people are religious fanatics, and it concerns me now that anybody from Iran can come into this country and they're emboldened by the rhetoric that they're hearing from their supreme leader. They're emboldened by the rhetoric that's surrounding this travel restriction, and we have no way of vetting them. Donald Trump never wanted to permanently ban travel from these 7 countries. He wanted to temporarily suspend it so that we could come up with a better plan to vet these people. This is perfectly reasonable. If you announce to people that you're going to come up with a system to toughly vet them before they come to the country, they're just going to come in before you institute that. So that's why you need a temporary travel restriction. The court decision, I'm not a lawyer, and so I leave a lot of the analysis on that case to the lawyers, but it seems like they don't even know they didn't even mention the statute that actually obliges the President of the United States to restrict travel from countries that pose a national security threat to the United States. It's not just an option of the President to do this, it is his duty. And that statute wasn't mentioned once in the opinion that came from the three justices. Which brings me to Hillary Clinton. I don't know if you guys saw this, but last night she tweeted she doesn't tweet very often anymore, but she tweeted just 3-0. Now, I thought that she would kind of slither away and spend some time doing some self-reflection as to why that she's 0-2 for presidential campaign runs, but she hasn't. She keeps emerging to basically troll the President of the United States. That's despite the fact that even at the inauguration, he went above and beyond to recognize her. He was very polite to both Bill and Hillary Clinton. It was after a very tumultuous campaign where both sides said things that were nasty about the other, many of it justified. And Donald Trump was gracious. Donald Trump was gracious. And he asked everybody to stand up and give them a hand of applause at the lunch after the inauguration. He was very charming, very nice, very respectful. And ever since then, she has been trolling him relentlessly. And so she's still doing it last night. I don't know what her game is. People said that she was going to potentially run for mayor of New York, and I think I may have told you guys this before. I am no Hillary Clinton fan. I'm not. But Bill de Blasio is he's like a radical, rabid socialist. So he makes her look good. So who knows? If it came down to those two, I might actually have to cast a Hillary ballot, being a New York resident, because I can't take any more of this guy. Homelessness is through the roof. Taxes are crazy. The schools suck. It's dirty. You got crime on the rise. It's not like it was under Giuliani. I mean, he cleaned this place up. It's not like it was under Bloomberg, who was basically a continuation of Giuliani, with some policies that I think were a little bit too big government. But okay, it's New York. We'll give him a pass on that. Bill de Blasio is a radical socialist, and I think that he thinks that his political capital is on the rise. He thinks that he can run for governor of New York, and I'm sure he thinks he can run for president at some point. So I hope somebody who is basically term limited by age, Hillary Clinton will never be able to run for president again, purely for the fact that she's run twice before unsuccessfully, and she's going to be too old. So if she wants to take him on and kick his behind, fine, whatever. At least somebody's going to take this guy down. Whatever. We'll see what happens with that. I did see, getting back to the travel ban, Judge Napolitano. If you haven't seen it yet, go to DennisMichaelLynch.com, and Judge Napolitano of Fox News has a great video that we posted up there. And basically last night he was explaining the massive error that was made in the opinion of this case by the three judges in the Ninth Circuit Court. And I'm going to read you a quote here because I thought it was really, really good. "This is an intellectually dishonest piece of work that the Ninth Circuit Court has produced tonight, because it essentially consists of substituting the judgment of three judges for the President of the United States, when the Constitution unambiguously gives this area of jurisdiction, foreign policy, exclusively to the President. That's why this is so profoundly wrong." So part of the problem with the opinion that was written is that they found no grounds for the temporary travel ban. Well, that's not in the purview of the Justice Department. The Justice Department, or I'm sorry, not the Justice Department, the Judiciary branch of government. Their job is to interpret the law. It is the President of the United States' responsibility to interpret foreign policy and to execute our foreign policy in line with his view. That's why we elect him. These three unelected judges, their duty is to uphold the law. And they didn't make a credible case. I mean, it's a 29-page opinion. I'm not a lawyer, like I said, but I'll give you my little opinion on it. They didn't make a credible case as to the legal grounds of continuing the suspension of this ban, and it's really concerning because this is one quote. They said, "We hold the government has not shown the likelihood of success or merits of its appeal, nor has it shown the failure to enter a stay would cause irreparable injury. We therefore deny its emergency motion for a stay. So, they're running amok. They're out of control. This is going to go to the Supreme Court, and on the law and the merits and the statute in question, there is no question that the law is on Donald Trump's side. Even liberals in the media, even somebody like Joe Scarborough on MSNBC this morning, even he made the case. He said, look, I'm not in favor of the travel restriction. Whatever, put the politics aside. He said, I'm not in favor of the travel restriction, but the opinion written by these three judges is not credible, and the law is on Donald Trump's side. So, when liberals and when MSNBC conservatives are on Donald's side on this, something's up. So, we'll see what happens with that. I'm as I said, totally confident that this thing goes to the Supreme Court. And but one of my concerns, getting back to the media real quick, and because we really haven't talked about the media much today, is when you turn on a lot of the major networks, you don't really hear much on the legal side of this. It's more about how people feel about the travel restriction. It's important for us to realize that's not the question. A judge's responsibility isn't to interpret a decision or an executive order by the president and determine whether they like it or whether they think that it's in line with American values or any of that. Their job is to interpret the law and to understand whether it's legal within the bounds of the Constitution. And it's kind of scary that that's not happening. Obviously, this court is historically more liberal than others. So we'll see. One of the questions is if this does go to the Supreme Court, it'll be interesting on timing. Will Neil Gorsuch, Donald Trump's new justice, his new nominee to the Supreme Court, will he be confirmed by then? Probably not. I suspect that this will move much quicker. This is, as far as I'm concerned, and it sounds as though the White House agrees this is an emergency now. I will say I wish that the rollout of the travel restriction had been a little bit better. I think that the White House staff did Donald Trump a bit of a disservice by not helping to better craft the executive order and its wording to be less ambiguous, to be really, really clear, to not open any sort of wiggle room to liberals to challenge it. But they probably would have challenged it anyway because, as we've seen with the ruling of the Ninth Circuit Court, it doesn't even matter if it's legal or not. They're just going to come down against it regardless because it doesn't align with their politics. So, but there are some things that I wish that the White House staff had done to better serve Donald Trump, and they had better communicated exactly what the travel restriction was, how long it was going to be in place, and why it was in place, and what was the historical context for the travel restriction. Why were those 7 countries selected? These things have been articulated since the travel restriction was signed 2 Fridays ago. But I believe going forward, if we're going to have an executive order like this, and as soon as Donald Trump signs it, they either have him, address the American people so that people clearly understand what's happening and that he's cutting through the mainstream media filter, or White House staff and communications people put out a clear narrative on why the White House is taking the action that it is, why President Donald Trump has signed an executive order as grave as this one. So I think they're learning from their mistakes. Now's the time to do it. I don't blame Donald Trump for this. It's not his responsibility to understand this. It is his responsibility to be the chief executive officer of the United States of America. It's his staff responsibility to help him execute on that vision that he lays out. And so, but I think they're getting up to speed. I love everybody there. I think they're doing good work. I know it's really, really hard and long hours, and bad pay, So, but I think we're on the right track. Anyway, it was really good to be with you guys. Don't forget, we have exclusive content on the app. You got to go to the iOS App Store, the Android, Google Play Store, play.google.com. Look for Dennis Michael Lynch. You've got to get the app. We've started putting exclusive content just on the app. It's not going to be on the website. So if you want it, if you want exclusive articles, if you want exclusive video content, if you want to know exactly what Dennis is up to, what news he's looking at, you need the app. You need the app. It's becoming really the core of our business. It's becoming the core of this media organization. I think a lot of media organizations are doing the same thing, just not as good as we are. And so make sure you go to the iOS App Store, the Android Play Store, and download it. Just search Dennis Michael Lynch, and it'll come up. So that's where you'll get all the exclusive contents, all of the push alerts, so that when we have a walk and talk, that's how you'll know that it's happening. And thank you so much for joining me. This is always so much fun. Also, if you love our vision, go to DennisMichaelLynch.com/donate. It costs a lot of money to build out this studio. We could really use your help in terms of financing it. If you can afford to give, $5, $10, whatever you can afford, I think it'll go a long way. We are penny pinchers around here. Every dollar we're spending wisely to get the most impact in the studio, and it's going to be world class. We're going to build a world-class studio at a fraction of what one of these broadcasters would, but it's still expensive. So we need your help. Go to DennisMichaelLynch.com/donate if you want to be part of building this new network, and definitely download those apps. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Dennis will be back ASAP. I know he can't wait to join you guys.